Hi, my name is Amos Williams. I am the bass player and production manager for the UK-based progressive metal band TesseracT. TesseracT has been around for quite some time now. In fact, we started out on MySpace. So yes, we are ancient. Really, I would say we started out as a project studio band, or a bedroom studio band. And I think that's where we began our journey and relationship with technology and equipment, because a lot of those bands were focused on the gear being used and everything all the geekery that goes around that. But TesseracT evolved into a internationally touring band. And as such, we took our bedroom studio geekery to the stage. We have 4 studio albums, a handful of EPs, and 2 live albums. Most recently, the live album Portals was streamed as a pay-per-view event in December 2020 and is now available to buy through our record label Kscope. Simply, Portals was an opportunity to exploit the limitations that were imposed upon us all last year during the pandemic. Many bands had started streaming their shows, and we found, without meaning to be negative, we found them not so much lacking, but we felt that the medium could be pushed somewhat. In fact, we very early on in the process realized that we were not so much trying to capture a live show, but we were trying to create a film. So with the approach of a cinematic production, it enabled us to think of things differently, to actually look at the limitations imposed upon us with restrictions of performance medium, that being its screen, so a laptop or a TV, or in many cases a phone, and working the show out from that point up. We had many people involved. There was a crew of about 50 people, which is insane for a production like ours. So not just our normal audio and visual elements, so our front of house team, it's also included the whole film crew, but also a video crew and a laser crew, which is an insane thing to try and sync up and get everybody on the same page. So it's wonderful to work with so many skilled people and to see something like Portals come from the chaos of last year. Our live and studio setups since day one have had RME at the core. We started out with the Fireface 400, progressed through the 800, and then moved on to the UFX series, and I'm pretty sure we had a UC at some point as a secondary element. We use it for sequencer, metronome, and recently controlling of all of our MIDI units like effects processors and guitar preamps. And as well, for Portals, we used it for timecode, which helped run the lighting, the video, and the laser elements of the show. We've always relied upon the rock solid functionality, as well as the ability to basically run any input to any output with pretty much no hassle, and the total mix interface allows you to see that in a very clear manner. The interesting thing about touring worldwide, and especially when you're touring through, say, the summer festival season, going from country to country, each day is you will sometimes turn up and the situation will not necessarily be what was advanced to you. And what you would normally run, say, for example, for us, we would normally run our on-stage box via a data line to front of house, but sometimes that's not possible and you just have to use the setup they have. So we realized after encountering this a few times that the only way around it for us was to implement something like the Ferrofish A32 digital to analog converter that allowed us to put our whole system into XLR outs with very little space. Essentially it's a 1-unit rack that allows us to continue to run our show the way we want to run it without any hindrance from what may or may not be at the festival side when you turn up. This is a very exciting time for TesseracT. We are at the point of finishing demos for our next album, but the whole streaming element of the music industry now has given us a bit of an itch to scratch. We are now going to follow that rabbit hole and see where it takes us. So a couple of the members of our band have been avid Twitchers for a couple of years. They do extremely well on there. They've got a wonderful community that they've developed. And we are taking that to the band brand, to use a rather cynical term. That will be up and running hopefully by the end of August. But this gave us thought. We were considering, okay, so our streamed event was extremely successful, not just from a business point of view, but from a creative point of view. It allowed us to gain confidence in an area that we'd always wanted to explore more, but had never really had the time. The pause that everybody has experienced afforded to them by the pandemic over the last few years gave TesseracT the opportunity to consider our future, to expand upon being a band. So we're going to see what we can do with Album 5, not just with streaming, but with the possibility of online events being a far more major role in what TesseracT does. So it's very exciting for us because we're getting to explore our creative ego somewhat and to see where that may take us. So hopefully we'll see you there.